Good morning, Texas anglers. This is your outlook for fishing and fly fishing in Texas for the coming week, July 20th to July 27th. We have a huge variable this week, and it's off the Texas Gulf Coast, way off to the east. Her name will be Bertha, and what is now Tropical Depression 2 has a fair chance of hitting dead center on the Texas Gulf Coast. Now, we all know hurricanes have a mind of their own, and there is actually a much better chance this one hits Louisiana. But let me start by telling you a story about my hurricane memories. On September 20th, 1967, Hurricane Beulah came ashore at Brownsville, Texas. That put the strong side at South Padre Island. Now, it was a pretty significant hurricane as hurricanes go, but this one was unique because it was seeded. They seeded the clouds while it was offshore for experimental research to see if it could be rained out and power lowered by the time it hit the coast. All the seeding did was cause biblical flooding inshore once the storm ran up a path that roughly followed the Rio Grande River for a few miles, and then it turned northward. Beulah came in at 923 millibars and had gusts of 160 miles an hour, and is classified today in modern terms as a Category 3 hurricane. By the time we headed across the old Queen Isabella Causeway and its thump concrete single-lane roads, single lane in, single lane out, the skies were blue. What was at the end of the bridge on the island was a new landscape. The dunes had moved, some were gone, and it seems there was no more vegetation anywhere. Our house, which made the newspaper, photo of it did, was missing its front upstairs roof, and it was an aerial photo. And it makes sense. We had an open view of the Gulf of Mexico back then, straight direct hit. There was glass everywhere because of the windows being shattered, and at 5 years old, I was told to walk carefully. Glass was everywhere. The indoor carpets were soaked, and it seemed like the landscape had been leveled. My play world under the house, built on deep set poles, that's how they built these houses, on telephone poles set deep, was gone. The sand was right up to the floor joist now. There weren't any roads. There was some caliche roads, but those were gone. They were washed and blown away. The island had been transformed, and us having one of the first houses on the island had no idea of all the evolutionary stages we would see in coming decades. We rebuilt and went on. I have another story about Beulah, and it involves a shipwrecks from the 1800s. I will tell it to you next week if this Bertha is still a player in a week's time from now. Good Monday morning, everybody. I'm Shannon, and here is where you come to find out the latest information about fly fishing and fishing in Texas if you are an angler. The biggest story is in the heat. It's what last week's flooding did to the hill country. Torrential rains from around Uvalde through Kerr County, Comfort, and into parts of Austin area sent rivers out of their banks. The good news is that Canyon Lake is nearly full again after months of drought. The bad news is that many of our favorite hill country rivers are still carrying extra water, debris, and stained conditions. If you were planning to fish the upper Guadalupe, the Pedernales, how do you say that? Pedernales? I say Pedernales. Or sections of Llano this week. Llano, that's a funny one. Llano. I'd give those rivers a little more time to settle. Even where water levels have started dropping, floating debris and poor visibility make fishing and especially wading a challenge. The bright spot in central Texas is the Guadalupe below Canyon Dam. Control releases keep that section much more consistent, so it's still one of the best freshwater fly fishing destinations in the state. North Texas, hey, that's where I am right now. It remains very predictable. Lake Texoma continues to be the #1 destination for striped bass. Hey guys, if you got a minute, check out my website, texasflycaster.com, and if you have ever seen my fly line mats, go there and get you one. I make some great fly line mats for those of you who have boats, skiffs, and need to keep control of your fly line on deck. So, back to this report. Get there. That's to Lake Texoma before sunrise. Throw white clousers or deceivers if you're fly fishing, and conventional anglers should stick with live shad or topwaters early before moving deeper. You know, you can fish deeper, fly fish deeper on Texoma, and I've done it, and I've caught fish that way with a sinking line. So I could tell you more about that if you just ask. East Texas is also fishing well. Bass are holding on grass edges early. Bluegill are providing fantastic fly rod action, and catfish continue to feed after dark. It's a great option if you're looking for steady summertime fishing. Now let's talk about the coast, because that's where I'd spend most of my week. And I didn't even write this. My friend Chet wrote this, my co-writer, who writes for me when I want him to. From Galveston down through Matagorda, Rockport, Port Aransas, and especially the Lower Laguna Madre, fly fishing remains excellent. What do you expect, people? I mean, really, the coast is where it's at. All right, for Texas, the coast is where it's at for fly fishing. Early mornings are producing aggressive redfish on the flats. Trout are feeding around grass beds, and the incoming tides continue to be the key. The stronger tides from last week's new moon are easing, but the moving water is still your best friend. I thought I was your best friend. Come on now. If I have one destination to recommend this week, it's still the Lower Laguna Madre. Redfish are shallow at daylight. Trout are active over grass flats. And there's always the chance you'll run into a snook or even a juvenile tarpon this time of year. Maybe, but doubtful. You'll see tarpon on the jetties a lot down there at South Padre Island at this time of the year. The fly of the week, once again, white and chartreuse clouser minnow. Yeah, okay, I'll accept that. It's getting more reasonable for saltwater. It catches just about everything swimming in Texas. Not really. Man, I gotta straighten Chet out on this. From stripers, Texoma, I don't unpack one fly box this week. I make sure it was full of clousers. Now that's true, full of multiple color clousers. I prefer the black on black, and I do sell those. It's called the Wakanda Clouser, and that's at my website too, www.texasflycaster.com. Looking at the moon, we're moving from a waxing crescent into the first quarter moon, so fishing should gradually be improved through the week. On the coast, I'm thinking that maybe a little bit off. Fish the first part of the incoming tide and the last part of the outgoing tide for your best chances. So if I had 5 trips to make this week, and I do have a vehicle that will get there now, here's where I'd go. Lower Laguna Madre for redfish, Rockport for sight casting on the flats, Matagorda marshes, Guadalupe River below Canyon Dam. These are all really good. And Lake Texoma for striped bass. That's my easy reach right there at about 45 miles from here. That's your Texas Flycaster Fishing Report for July 20 through 27th. If you found this report helpful, visit TexasFlycaster.com. I break it down in much greater detail in writing on my Monday mornings for a complete statewide report about fishing and fly fishing in Texas. Please like and subscribe. Hey guys, watch out for that weather on the Texas Gulf Coast. It may be something to really shake things up. We don't need a whole lot more rain here in North Texas, but there are parts of Texas that do need some more rain. Thanks for listening. Stay safe. Drive carefully. Don't speed. And watch your way around the hill country rivers. There's some bridges I know that are out, and there's still some debris. This flooding event that happened last week matches, if not supersedes or beats, the one a year ago. So it was pretty bad. I'll see you next time. Thanks for listening. And Texas Flycaster is done.
Now I'm rolling through the valley, wind hums through my hair. Yeah,